This is Good Evening San Diego.
Governor Gavin Newsom has signed SB 616 into law, guaranteeing workers at least 5 paid sick days per year. That is up from the current 3 days, so it's an additional 2. This will also increase the accrual and the carryover amounts. Here to explain a little more is Employment Attorney Annie Ellis. Annie, it's been a while. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, Logan. Good to see you.
So I believe this begins the 1st of January. Can you tell us which employees get this? Is it part-time? Is it full-time? Is it everybody? And how does it accrue?
Yeah, this is the number one question I get is I'm a small business. I only have part-time workers, so this doesn't apply to me, right? It applies to every employer that employs anyone in the state of California as long as they work at least 30 days. So once they hit that 30-day mark, they're eligible under this new extension of the law to have at least 40 hours or 5 days of sick leave per year. You can do it a couple ways. You can accrue based on hours worked, or you can lump sum it at the beginning of the year. A lot of employers like to do that just because it's easier, and then it's use it or lose it at year end. And it is not a cash out benefit like vacation or PTO is. And that's really important for folks to understand that if you leave your job and you got 40 hours on the books, it's not coming with you.
Okay, so is it 40 hours or 5 days? For like example, if somebody works 5 days a week, but they only work 6 hours a day, they're part-time, how would that get calculated if they take a sick day? Is it 1 day or is it 6 hours?
I love that question. It's whatever's worse for the employer. So whichever is greater. So if the employee works, like say, for example, four 10-hour days, they're going to be entitled to 5 10-hour days. But if the employee works less, doesn't matter. The minimum requirement's going to be 40 hours.
Okay, and not paid out. What other kinds of questions do you get about sick days? I hear things like, well, do you have to have a doctor's note? Or does the employer, are they allowed to like call you while you're at home? Are they allowed to check on you? Like, what can they do with that respect?
Here's what I tell my clients, which are business owners, is put a nice protective bubble around that absence. There's nothing we can do. You can't discipline. You can't use it against the attendance policy. You can't ask for a doctor's note. I mean, maybe if you see them post on Facebook that they're skiing in Big Bear, you might have the ability to be able to work around that, and that happens a lot. But for the most part, it's a pretty stringent protection, and you can't ask the employee to get their shift covered. That's a big one. So you're just kind of stuck whenever employees use their paid sick leave under California law, which is now we're coming up on almost 9 years on the books with this law, and trending, I think, only for it to get more stringent in the future.
Well, let me ask you about that situation. You call out sick and you go skiing in Big Bear, and maybe you do post it online, and now they know that you've really been skiing. Are you allowed to use your sick day for whatever you want, or do you really have to be sick? And if so, how bad?
You could only use it for one of the purposes that's laid out in the statute, and skiing in Big Bear's not in there. I've checked, and going surfing isn't either. so
you've got to be really sick, or
yeah.
All right.
Or a doctor's appointment, or a public emergency. I mean, there's different purposes, but personal purposes is not one of them.
You know, it seems like there's sick days, then there's vacation days, then you hear about comp days, and then you hear about personal days. I mean, I don't know that there's a question in there, but it's just interesting how different companies do different things rather than just saying, you know, here's your days, take them off however you need to.
Well, the reason for that is because California law treats them differently, and it's already really tough to be an employer here. So, you know, employers are typically looking for the best advantage or angle they can get. And vacation is hard. It's a wage. You have to pay it out. There's all these rules. So at least with sick leave, it's use it or lose it, and the employee doesn't take the bank when they leave. So that's one of the reasons why employers do divide it up. And a lot of employers aren't doing the comp days or the personal days because of the way California law treats them. It's just too tough. So you've got usually a PTO bank or a vacation bank and a sick leave bank on top of that.
If you use all of your sick days and then you still get sick for a few more days, you're allowed to take it off, right? You're just not paid. And how many days can you get before they start questioning you?
Well, it depends, Logan. It's going to depend on a lot of things if other laws are triggered. But, you know, I think if you're legitimately sick and you've got a good trusting relationship with your employer, there's probably not an issue there. But if you're the person that calls out, you know, every July 6th or July 5th, and then there's probably a pattern there that we're going to be looking more into.
It's Monday after Super Bowl. I got that cough coming. All right. Annie Ellis, thanks for all the info. Great to talk to you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Logan.
Yep.
That was a great interview.